Hello, Internet, your friendly neighborhood gremlin here, and welcome to day 3 of our HalloWeek adventure, where we are building Patty a cannibal restaurant. And to be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea how we got here. I mean, I can explain the thought process that got us there, but I am also marginally concerned that this is where my brain went. So last night we were thinking, what on earth are we going to build tomorrow? At which point I remembered that one of the perks of this HalloWeek is that I'm going to be able to get rid of some animals who I don't want to build for. And frankly, Patty was sitting right there. And so I went, yeah, no, she kind of creeps me out. I feel like she would be good for a horror build. One of the things that has always really unsettled me is sentient food or anthropomorphic food. And maybe that's one of the reasons that I am vegan, because this is something that has scared me since I was a child. I could not watch VeggieTales because it was very upsetting. And the first time that I asked my mother to be a vegetarian was at the age of like 3 or 4. So I think this is just me. But an extension of that fear is that I've always really been upset about animals named after foods that they're made of. Like, we're gonna kill this thing and make patties, so why are we calling her Patty? Because that is really fucked up. And then we make the jump in the thought process that I can't really explain, but somehow thinking about that got me to think about cannibals. At which point we came to Cannibal Restaurant, and here we are. Welcome to HalloWeek, where anything is possible. So the build is gonna start out pretty straightforward. It's pretty much just a diner. There's not a lot special about it. And we end up with this sort of red and yellow color scheme because I wanted a different color other than just red, and apparently my brain associates burgers with McDonald's. So here we are. There ends up being more yellow outside than inside, but there's a little bit in here. It does end up just like a little bit tight, but I really wanted it to be longer than it was wide, and so we did what we could with an 8x10. So I did spend a large portion of last night looking at bloody custom designs, because I have a problem, and also there were people outside who thought it was a good idea to make a sort of like fireworks noise for 5 hours. I don't know that they actually are fireworks. They do wink until it's dark, but I can't see anything out my window, so they could just be at an angle I can't see from my window. But who has enough fireworks to do that for 5 hours? Like, actually, that seems insanely expensive. It's not like a new noise, but it usually only happens on the weekends, and usually not for 5 hours. And I just always kind of assumed that they were fireworks, because sometimes they happen on holidays, but I guess they also happen not on holidays. But I mean, that's really not important. Just know that I spent most of those 5 hours looking at custom designs, because once I start, I cannot stop. As always, we'll have the codes for those down below in the description, including Patty's dress and my shirt that you won't see until later, but it's a pretty great shirt. Also the Sorry We're Dead sign, which is maybe my favorite thing that I found. It's pretty great. It brings me a lot of joy. I don't really know if the neon lights were a good idea. We're gonna put them on both walls because why the hell not, I guess? I have no idea. It's just a thing that we did because apparently I thought that was a good idea, but I also fell asleep for 10 minutes while I was building this. It just records and there's just 10 minutes of nothing. I mean, obviously I've cut that out, but I thought it was pretty funny. I suppose we can blame the out-of-ness that I was on the fact that I do not remember to put the brains in, because I downloaded 2 separate brain hats and I didn't put either of them in, even when I had to go back, because the first time we filmed this, I realized I forgot to put in a chainsaw or any skulls. So, I mean, you'll see that at the end before the reveal, so it's not like you would have known that if I hadn't told you. But do note that I had to go back. And this second time, I also didn't remember about the brains, even though I put the hat on my head. So, thing I discovered, apparently Animal Crossing doesn't actually have any burgers in it. I guess it makes sense because if we're making the food and we don't have anything to use to make burgers, because we're not going to cut up the animals actually, but there's not even like a fake burger or anything. So my burger restaurant became just sort of like a generalized diner that only serves food that is red. So maybe it's all covered in blood. And I guess YouTube's not mad at me anymore, which is an exciting development. But apparently our Tangy video is blowing up. I got 135 views yesterday, which is absurd. Well, for me anyway, that's an insane amount of views. I'm pretty sure I got 6 subscribers too, which is also pretty exciting for me anyway. So hopefully, now that my stats are rising again, YouTube will start showing the videos to more people, which is really all that I want. I mean, I don't mind if people don't want to watch my content or don't like it, but if nobody sees it, the people who will like it are less likely to see it. I mean, I literally just got a comment yesterday. Someone said they were looking for content like this for a long time, which is extremely flattering, so thank you. But yeah, I just want the people who want this content to be able to see it and find it. Sorry, I had been doing really good not talking about stats or numbers or anything. I don't know, I just find them really fascinating. I don't know, like they don't upset me, and I don't have any expectations. So, I don't know, I just think it's kind of fun, and I don't have anyone else to talk to about it. Anyways, let's talk about the build. You know, the thing we're here to talk about. Here I am just putting those lights on the opposite wall. I really don't know. I can't tell you why that's a thing that happened, or even if it's a good thing. I mean, it's a fine thing, I guess. Too late to go back and change it now. So, let's take ourselves outside, where I kind of want to talk about the title of this build. Animal Cannibal, which, if you're not familiar, is a reference to Possibly in Michigan, which is maybe one of my favorite videos on this website. It wasn't like a purposeful reference at all. I was just kind of sitting at the word cannibal and thinking about words that would go with that, and my brain offered up animal, at which point the song from Possibly in Michigan started playing in my head, and then we were there, because I love it, so I thought it would be a fun title. Anyway, I'll have that linked down below in case you want to watch it. Do just note, of course, that it is a horror video. I suppose Animal Cannibal kind of implies that, but in case that's not your thing, it's not graphic in any way, but it does sometimes end up on lists of like disturbing, horrifying videos, which does actually feel a little bit dramatic to me, but you know, clicks and stuff. I would call it unsettling rather than scary, and in the best way possible. Anyway, let's take ourselves back to the build, which I was kind of avoiding talking about, because it is extremely questionable, and I don't have an explanation. It was a thing that happened, and then it was just kind of there. I do think if I did it again, I would do it differently, and I probably should have remembered to also do some fixes on the outside while I was fixing the inside, but that didn't occur to me until afterwards, and I had already gone back twice, because apparently you cannot drop assessed fossils. Like, just drop them so they look like bones, which is an idea that I acquired for watching Mayor Mori's Spooky Island in 30 Days series, which, I mean, is really fun. I recommend it. Obviously, I'm watching it, so. So the first time, I sort of looked through the inventory, and the assessed fossil little bone thing wasn't an option. And so I thought, well, maybe I can just drop them. So I went back to my island, dug up some fossils, had Blathers assess them, and then came back, and they wouldn't let me drop them. And so we have like an osteopath skull instead, which is not really what I wanted, but was also the only option that I had. Would you look at that? We seem to have rambled our way through the majority of our outside build. I really cannot explain the paths. I do not know what I was trying to do. It's just kind of there, I suppose. I had so many grand ambitions. Maybe I should have put in like a parking lot or something. Just, it didn't work out the way I thought that it would, which is a thing that happens to me kind of regularly. So now we are adding in the chainsaw and the skull, and also I managed to delete the fridge. So you know, it's going well, and I'm going to try and rearrange the items on the counter, and then I'm going to remember that I can put the skull on top of the drink machine. Apparently we tried the chainsaw first, but I'm going to delete the dish rack by the fridge and put this chainsaw there. So it's not like quite so obvious to customers. You probably don't want them to know that they're eating people, or maybe we do want them to know that they are eating people. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Do we think this is a secret cannibal restaurant? Or the kind that is like super illegal and black market and underground? I was imagining the first one because Sweeney Todd and whatever, but maybe let me know down below what you think it should be. And if you've liked the build, or you just had a good time hanging out with me, you could hit the like button. And of course, if you think you want to do this again sometime, you could hit the subscribe button. And of course, as always, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye!